New Mexico. It's called the Land of Enchantment. But Albuquerque natives Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero, world champion prize fighters in the same weight class, are anything but enchanted with one another. This is boxing's most intense crosstown rivalry. One fighter from Albuquerque's South Valley, Johnny Tapia, one from its North Valley, Danny Romero. As boys, they trained in the same gym, but as men with very different lives, and by extension, the world. From the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. Our night begins with a junior flyweight bout between former champion Michael Carbajal and the smallest professional boxer in the world, 4'10" baby Jake Matlala. Then in our main event, a hometown rivalry to rival all rivalries, as fellow Albuquerqueans Danny Romero and Johnny Tapia finally come together in their battle for the Junior Bantamweight Championship of the world. The turf war to top this generation. We look back to find similar confrontations between fighters from the same towns or cities over the years. Ike Williams, born in Trenton, later adopted Philadelphia as one of his hometowns. Chacon against Danny Little Red Lopez, Carlos Zarate against Alfonso Zamora. Just some of the fights which might have compared in historical terms to what's happening here tonight between Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero. And because of the enormous emotion that attaches to this Albuquerque battle, extraordinary precautions in the Thomas and Mack Center tonight. Close to 100 uniformed police visible in the arena. Every single patron and official who enters walking through a screener and scanned for metal content. And among those Las Vegas policemen who are working the bout, 3 specially trained gang observation units to watch the body language and the communication in the crowd here in Las Vegas. So many of these people having made the long trek, 9 or 10 hours or more by automobile, up from Albuquerque to be a part of this event. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to an HBO World Championship Boxing edition, which all of us have looked forward to for a long, long time. First, we'll see Michael Carbajal trying to bounce back from an upset loss in his most recent title defense, fighting against the colorful baby Jake Matlala from South Africa, who at 4 feet 10 inches tall claims to be the shortest professional fighter in the world. And then the long-awaited bout between Danny Romero Jr. and Johnny Tapia. During the bout and before, we'll be taking you to Albuquerque to see the scene there, where thousands of fans are gathering in various places to watch together in what amounts to a colorful piece of pageantry in the history of Albuquerque sport. Working with me as always, HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. And Larry, as we get ready for Tapia and Romero, so much has been written and said about the two fighters and their relationship to one another that you might think this is the second coming of Cain versus Abel. Is it really that deep a rivalry, or have we all bought in to a mountain of hype?
Jim, I don't think you could make this one up. There's absolutely no precedent amongst all of the great rivalries down through the ages of boxing when a hometown rivalry is so hot and so volatile that you can't have the fight in the hometown. We should be in Albuquerque trying to hear ourselves think amid a din of 20,000 passionate fans. There's also no precedent for a hotel pulling out of a fight. Fighters pull out of fights all the time. We just heard, for example, that Ray Mercer has pulled out of the fight with Andrew Galata scheduled for next month because he has to have a neck operation on Monday. But a hotel pulling out of a fight? Well, after the rampage of a few hundred of Mike Tyson's worst friends a few weeks ago in the MGM Grand, the Hilton threw Tapia and Romero out on the street like a couple of card-counting blackjack players. So this is truly real, Jim. It's real, almost too real.
A lot of people wanted this fight to take place in Albuquerque because of the mutual decision of co-promoters Cedric Kushner and Bob Arum. It's being held here in Las Vegas instead. Between Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero Jr. And as you fully gathered by now, you're about to watch an event that climaxes several storylines. The story of the ultimate dead-end kid, Johnny Tapia, who survived the murder of his mother in childhood and a 3-year suspension due to cocaine to get back to this plateau. The golden child, Danny Romero, whose father once trained Johnny Tapia in the same gym where he introduced little Danny Jr. to boxing. And the story of the city of Albuquerque, where there is so much passion attached to this fight that it was regarded as unsafe for Albuquerque to host its biggest sports event in years.
Jamie.
Well, good morning, New Mexico. Welcome to the Sports Line. This is Henry T., and you've got your sports leader, KDF, 1150 a.m. in Albuquerque. We've got a big fight coming up in the near future. Johnny Tapia, Danny Romero. What does this fight mean to you?
Well, as a citizen, I would have loved to seen it here. And as a chief of police, I think I'm kind of glad it's going to be in Vegas.
And I think that there would be troubles if it was here in Albuquerque. Yeah, Albuquerque fans are pretty rowdy. They like to, you get to see as many fights in the stands as you do up in the ring.
If it were here, and unfortunately it's not, I think we could fill the University Arena, which would seat almost 20,000 for boxing. I really believe it could be filled or very close to it.
Danny Romero said no. You know, I wanted it to be the biggest fight of my life, to have it in Albuquerque, to give to the rich and the poor people in Albuquerque to see the fight.
Me, you know, trying not to have the fight in Albuquerque and stuff like that, and that had nothing to do with me. I think they made it out bigger than what it was, and I was a little upset about it because that's my hometown. That's where I live.
My life has been hard. I lost my mom at an early age. I didn't know my dad, he died too. And then I lived with 6 sisters, 8 brothers. You know, I was the youngest one. It was just rough, tough. I miss her every day, every minute. I hug everybody just to get that same feeling, to show a hug. I enjoy hugging people. And I miss hugging. I miss my mom hugging me. You know, a lot of it I block out and I don't remember a lot of things.
Virginia Tapia died violently, stabbed multiple times behind a bar one night. Johnny never knew his father, and that left him to be raised by his grandparents. And Johnny cited this as a reason for his anger. I believe it's also a reason for maybe a lack of self-esteem that he can only find in boxing or through drugs.
He died twice. Well, our first year and a half together, he was always missing. I was always going to police stations, filing reports.
Each fighter I fight, I think of them, you know, hurting my mom, and it's not the right way of going. But when I know somebody really wants to try to take me out, I focus it. I get the eye of the tiger, and the warrior comes in me.
What Johnny Tapia lost in his mother, he found in his wife Teresa, who gave him his last chance at dignity.
He was locked up in jail at the time, and he was confined to this little cell. And he said, you know, the way he described it to me, he was looking out the window and he was seeing all these people passing by, and he'd call me up, and I didn't want anything to do with them. My life was going on with or without him, and he knew at that time it was without him. He felt that if he didn't get out of that jail, and also he was in there for 3 months, he stayed clean. So he knew that if he could stay clean in there, well, then there was a chance for him and for us.
If Tapia is driven by the love he's missed, Danny Romero's fuel is the love he's gotten every day from his dad.
I don't want no kid to see the bottom, because there's too much to go up for. Why see the bottom? I mean, that's not what makes you a better person.
I mean, there's morals and there's right ways of doing things. Winning, yes, is everything, but doing it the right way is another. I think if you put that all in one, it's satisfactory all the way around. And you know, with the family and the way he's taught me and the way we just vibe together, we do it the right way and we do it our way.
I remember Danny at the Police Athletic League the day his dad brought him in the gym to register him. He was 8 years old. He was adorable. And I remember his dad said, my son wants to box and he wants to box for Pal. And so he started coming in then. He learned so easy and so well. I think it was the commitment he had to the sport. He knew as an 8-year-old that he wanted to be a boxer.
Hey, Romero, come back. He loves it back.
I've been boxing since I was 5 years old. And, I don't think anybody wakes up at that 5 years old and wants to become a boxer. It's in the blood. God gives certain talents. Obviously, mine's a talent for beating up people.
And the winner is
I've been a volunteer trainer all my life, and that's what I do. I don't want, you know, I don't want no rewards from it. I already got it. The icing of the cake is Danny Romero Jr. He's already done it all for me.
Two sons of the same culture, one prodigal, one proud. Two lives whose streams and tributaries would naturally, inexorably rush toward one another.
When Johnny came back, it was a real blow to their vision of Danny being sort of the Prince of Albuquerque, having Albuquerque as his oyster. I think they had it all scripted, and when Johnny came back, it was like, hey, what are you doing in this movie? There's no part for you.
I've stuck my hand out to the Romeros, and they left it out there. Embarrassed me, big time, in front of a lot of people.
We have nothing against Johnny Tapia. We have a lot against his promoter. We don't have nothing against Johnny Tapia. He's a fighter that's in Danny's way, and we're going to take care of that July 18th.
He's not going to be able to fight after this fight. That cheekbone's going to be broken.
All the talk, all the hype for the fight is going to be brought down to me winning to begin with. So I have no problem with that.
You know, but now it's gotten to a point where I hate him.
He's missed the point big time, and it bothers me because he can say, I hate Danny Romero. That's made him a rich man. And in another breath, he can say, please pray for me. I'm a real Christian guy, and it don't work that way.
And I wish it wasn't that way. I really don't. I wish that it was like another fight and may the best man win. But this way, I want it so bad. I feel it every night. I can't sleep. He's made this into a fight where it's, say he's going third round, third knockout, third rope. He can't knock me out. I've been through too many things already that I've been down and up.
Tonight, two children of the Mexican-American Southwest and the community that nurtured them both face a passionate and painful ceremony together. A prize fight in which the ultimate prize is respect. Welcome back live, and Larry Merchant, one question must be asked in the wake of everything we learned from that piece. Why is it that Johnny Tapia, who has struggled with drugs and the law through much of his childhood and adult life, seems to have more of a fan following in New Mexico than Danny Romero, who has walked the straight and narrow to an apparently exemplary life.
The only thing I can figure out, Jim, is that the wide and the crooked is more dramatic. It's a better story. Johnny Tapia is a compelling figure because he's battled his demons in public. He's a Horatio Alger for everyone who has been touched by drugs or who has been a dropout or the gang culture. By comparison, Danny Romero is born with a silver spoon, a poor family, but a very stable family with a father who showed him right from wrong. And besides that, he's talented, he's charismatic, and he's good looking. So in New Mexico, this is a showdown at KO Corral. This is Ali Frazier 1.
And maybe it's Tapia Romero 1, although so much emotion has been spewed into this one that it's hard for a lot of people to imagine that a rematch is even conceivable. We'll see what happens after the bout. George Foreman, it wouldn't be Johnny Tapia if there weren't some crazy elements of his life coming in. He has the words "Mi vida loca" for my crazy life inscribed on the back of his trunks. And in this case, it's two trainers in the last few weeks. Hired Jesse Reed, fired Jesse Reed, came to Vegas to train with Eddie Futch. Now he brings back Jesse Reed. They're both good, strong-minded trainers. Is this good for him or bad?
Well, my trainer, Charlie Shipe, would tell me often, listen, I'm doing the best I can, but when you get in that ring, you got to fight. So it's not about who's in your corner, it's what you got in your heart. And I think tonight we're going to have to show the right things because the two guys in his corner are masterful. They know the business of boxing, but also Tapia has the heart.
They believe in the fighter because they believe in his emotional constitution.
That's right. And you believe in a fighter believes in himself, number one. You get two people to believe in him also, you're going to have a tough hombre on your hand.
All righty, so let's go to the tail of the tape now between Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero. Both of them weighed in yesterday at 114, 1 pound under the limit. Tonight, as they arrived at the Thomas & Mack Center, Tapia up to 121, Romero up to 124. Romero with a 2-inch reach advantage, 7 years younger, and in the eyes of most boxing experts, perhaps with a natural edge in punching power. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
Let's see how active they are, and you can see that Romero throws more punches, lands more punches. Tapia is underrated as a boxer. Jabs, you can see that they both throw a lot, don't land a lot. It's not a key weapon, but Romero does use it to set up his power.
Rules of the bout with the fight judge and pharmacist, Harold Letterman.
The Johnny Tapia-Danny Romero fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you can be saved by the bell in the 12th and final round only. Jim.
Harold, sir. Here comes Danny Romero. For Danny Romero, the only loss, a result of a freak eye injury in the first round against journeyman Willie Salazar. Because of the 27 knockouts in his 30 wins, One Boxing magazine calls him the hardest puncher pound for pound in the sport.
That includes you, George.
I thought you weren't going to say.
And here comes Johnny Tapia. it to describe the electricity in this arena as you look at Tapia's record, 40 wins, no losses, 2 draws. By the conventional standard applied to the 3 major governing bodies, Tapia getting ready to fight a reigning or former world champion for the first time in his career. But he would say to you, I've won bigger battles than anyone in the sport. Let's go to ring announcer Mark Biro for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Top Rank Incorporated and Cedric Kushner Promotions in association with Caesar's Palace, the home of champions in Las Vegas, and Budweiser, the undisputed, undefeated king of beers. This Bud's for You presents main event, 12 rounds for the IBF and WBO Junior Bantamweight Championship of the world. Ring officials assigned by the International Boxing Federation and the World Boxing Organization. IBF President Robert W. Lee, Supervisor Hiawatha Knight, WBO President Francisco Paco Valcasel, and Supervisor Luis Perez. Your judges at ringside are from Kent, Washington, Glenn Hamada, from Las Vegas, Jerry Roth, and from Providence, Rhode Island, Dr. Clark Sammartino. Your referee for this event from Las Vegas, Nevada, Mitch Halpern. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are the principals first. In the blue corner to my right, wearing the black trunks and gold accessories, he weighs in at 114 pounds. His professional record, 40 victories without a defeat, 2 draws, and 24 wins coming by way of knockout. He hails from Albuquerque, New Mexico, the WBO Super Flyweight Champion of the world, Johnny Mi Vida Loca Tapia. His opponent in the red corner, wearing the gold trunks, red accessories. He also weighs 114 pounds. His professional record, 30 victories, 1 defeat. He has 27 wins by way of knockout. He hails from Albuquerque, New Mexico, the IBF Junior Bantamweight Champion of the world, Danny Romero. 12 rounds for the IBF and WBO Junior Bantamweight Championship of the world. Come on out, John. Come on out. Hey, Danny. Come on.
This will be a clean fight. Protect yourself at all times and obey my commands at all times. Any questions? Touch gloves. Come on, touch them. Let's go. Trucks are too high.
Jim, I've often used the expression that boxing is the theater of the unexpected. What would be unexpected now, given some of the events of recent weeks and months, would be a great fight without incident in or out of the ring, and that's what we're all hoping for.
Over 10,000 tickets sold. More outside clamoring to get in even as the first bell is sounded. Last week we went to a so-called heavyweight championship fight which could never have sold this many tickets.
Or aroused any passion at all.
And the passion here is thick enough for you to feel it. Round 1 begins. They waited years. Tapia loves to start fast. Romero will want to establish his technical superiority and his punching power early on. Tapia wants to lure Romero into a war. Tapia to the body and the crowd goes wild.
Every punch has mean intentions. Every punch is meant to hurt the opponent here.
Yeah, it's going to take a round or two before these guys actually get into what they really do.
Crowd chanting, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. The Tapia followers in this crowd are over the top with excitement. And in that sense, they mirror the mood of the fighter, whose trainers only hope they can control his overwhelming passion for this task. These early rounds will be just about burning energy and trying to get into a rhythm, right, George?
Yeah, and you're trying to establish if I can touch him with my left jab, like they said in training camp, if I can hit him with my left hook, like they said. And these things don't happen for a round or two.
Tapia saying earlier this week, Danny's going to be surprised that if he hits me, I'll laugh. Romero said he's going to laugh all night. Tapia digging to the body with two left hooks and smiling as Romero lands a counter left. Hard left hook inside by Romero. Tapia drops his hands and stares. Romero up and under with the right hand. Solid blows landed early by both fighters.
And Tapia seems to be ahead on power at this point. It would be wise of Romero to kind of jab to the body, jab to the head, and kind of get a little juice out of those balloons.
Romero more the conventional fighter in style, and he loves to get the left hook to the body as well. Both fighters rely on that punch.
Romero is actually cutting the ring out from time to time. He's dictating where Tapia is going to stand and where he's not going to stand. Tapia moves to the left and Romero goes over there and says, no, you don't.
Both fighters off to an energetic start in round one. And there it was, George, as you said. Romero conscious of wanting to command the space in the ring, and his dad saying to him, you take him where you want to take him. Punch stat numbers in round one remarkably similar. Tapia 22 of 64, Romero 20 of 67. Romero relying a little bit more on the straight left jab.
The object here is for Romero to get from side to side so he can get his left foot on the outside of Tapia's left foot and he can control things.
Romero doing a good job of keeping his hands up. Tapia looking to dig to the body underneath those high hands of Romero. Good right hand inside by Johnny Tapia. And he ties up Romero as Danny steps in.
Step back. Come on, let's go.
Romero does a lot of bouncing left and right, but he gives not 1 ounce to Tapia for his moving back after he punches him. He establishes, I am the aggressor in a funny kind of way.
So far, the fight has taken place at center ring. Neither man has gone to the ropes yet. They exchange punches in the center of the ring. Again, Johnny Tapia lands a hard left hook, and Tapia pumping to the body in the clinch. Both fighters seem to have burned off the initial scenic energy buzz. They're settling into a groove, and Johnny Tapia is proving surprisingly effective inside with counter body shots. Danny Romero trying to score up top with power.
As a matter of fact, Tapia is doing only counter punching at this point. He's waiting till Romero does something, then he counters. Strictly counter punching.
Tapia investing more in the body in these early rounds. Right hand was blocked by Romero. Crowd loved it, but it was right onto the glove.
Romero knows exactly what he's doing with these feints. He goes down low, up high, and it creates a lot of muscle tension in Tapia, so he better be careful. This guy is sizing him up for something big. Romero is sizing him up.
This tells you something about youth boxing in Albuquerque. Look at how well-schooled both fighters are.
Both have an excellent left jab. That was a left hand, left right combination by Romero.
By Danny Romero. Best combination of this round for Romero. Tapia again digging the left hook to the body, continuing to counter inside as Romero comes at him. Romero trying to block that Tapia left hook with his right elbow, and Johnny nods for the crowd as he comes back to the corner.
Keep moving him around, huh? Keep moving him around. Keep moving him around. You're swinging your right hand. Okay. So it's not working. Okay. You might need to go like that. Keep moving him around, huh? He's already starting to step down. Yeah. Keep 2 steps on him, huh? Okay.
Bang, step back, bing, all right?
Double and triple jab, and then your right hand behind it.
You hear that, baby? Double and triple your jab and take that right hand behind it. All right?
There's just speed on him.
I like that right uppercut stepping over, baby. You'll knock him out with it. But keep digging that belly. Keep digging that belly.
As I said earlier, Tapia is an underrated boxer. He's picking his spots. You see as he goes to the body there. And so far, his aggression has been very well under control, which is the secret to his success in this fight.
In the first 2 rounds, by CompuBox numbers, Johnny Tapia landing more power punches than Danny Romero. And you can see that Harold Letterman gives the early going to Tapia. Joining us now at ringside, world welterweight champion Oscar De La Hoya. And Oscar, what a brilliant exhibition of boxing skills in the first 2 rounds by these fighters.
It's a beautiful exhibition. These 2 fighters were made for each other. Johnny Tapia right now is fighting a very smart fight. He's sticking and he's moving. Right now, Danny Romero, he's trying to land that big bomb, but once he tries to throw those punches, Danny Romero is out. Johnny Tapia is going away, so he's fighting a very smart fight.
Do you think that Tapia can continue to neutralize Romero's power?
If he keeps his calm and cool and stay collective up in that ring, he will beat Danny Romero.
And the crowd once again getting on the bandwagon for Tapia.
Now that's the first time we saw Romero respond to one of Tapia's feints. That's not a good sign.
And Tapia, who, as you pointed out, was countering mostly in the second round, now starting to initiate some of these exchanges, George.
And he starts it with feints. That's great for an experienced fighter.
Tapia able to land the jab. Romero missing a little bit short. Johnny Tapia exploiting Romero so far, almost as though he has a reach advantage in there. The tail of the tape doesn't say so, but Tapia able to land. Romero short with his punches, Oscar.
He's using moves that I've never seen before, that I haven't seen from Johnny Tapia, and he's doing very well. At this point right now, he's doing perfect.
Great footwork by both fighters, but again, particularly Tapia.
Yes, definitely. Johnny Tapia has been working in the gym. He's been working hard, and he's been learning in the gym, which is supposed to be the right thing to do when you're a world champion.
The great sign about what Tapia is doing here is that he wants to win so badly that he's controlling the emotions that normally get out of control in the ring.
Right, exactly. He's keeping his calm and his cool. He wants to make sure that he wants to give a good performance, but at the same time win this fight. He wants to please the crowd, but he wants to please himself. He wants to show that he is a good boxer, not only a brawler.
In case you've just joined us, Johnny Tapia in the black trunks, Danny Romero in the gold, Oscar De La Hoya joining George Foreman and Larry Merchant and myself, Jim Lampley, at ringside. 3rd round of this 115-pound world championship between the 2 fighters from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Tapia's doing a little smile and maybe a little overconfident because, believe me, he's playing with fire here. He better win and be serious about it.
Romero going back to trying to establish his jab, which seemed to be part of the plan in round number 1. You heard his dad telling him between the 2nd and 3rd rounds that he ought to dispense with the looping right. Tapia lands a hard right-hand counter as the 3rd round comes to a close and celebrates by leaping into the air.
Okay. All right, Oscar, you've had some inner-city rivalries. Gennaro Hernandez, Ruelas.
Right.
What is it like? I mean, do you feel almost too excited at the beginning of the fight and that has to wear off?
Well, you feel excited because you want to please the crowd, your hometown crowd. You know, Albuquerque right here is in the house and he's trying to please the crowd. But after a few rounds, after the maybe 5th, 6th round, he'll try to slow it down and try to focus on his game plan, try to win this fight.
Hey, how about this crowd, Oscar? You got a huge reception and you were introduced at ringside before the fight. This is as energizing a crowd as we've heard in a long time.
Every time I go to Albuquerque, the crowd is just amazing. I mean, I feel that they love me over there, and it's a beautiful crowd.
You ought to fight there sometime.
One day we will.
All right, Oscar, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you here as always. We'll look forward to seeing you September 13 against Hector Macho Camacho.
I will be there, and I will be ready.
On TVKO. Tapia lands a left hook to the body. Crowd going wild. Romero seeming to try to get in closer in this round. Mitch Halpern pulls them apart to try to prevent any butting. Danny Romero attempts to close the space between himself and Johnny Tapia.
Yeah, that was a little holding that a lot of people couldn't see. Unnatural things going on, so don't make too much of that.
But with Romero stepping in closer, now that right hand looping across the top begins to land. In the first 3 rounds, Johnny Tapia landing power punches at twice the rate of Danny Romero. So Romero has got to close the gap and make his physical presence felt in the fight.
Well, Tapia's done a lot of good fighting so far in the ring. As the fight goes round per round, he's better be ready to hold this tiger off.
Tapia continues to dig to the body with the left hook, hoping to sap Romero's strengths as they go toward the later stages of the fight.
And it looks like he's establishing his will in the fight now. In the first couple of rounds, Romero was establishing his will. Things have changed. You go to a corner with a young fighter, 23-year-old, and you tell him, listen, the fight isn't won in the first couple of rounds. Get ready and pull this thing out.
Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
Now Tapia is starting to establish a stiff left jab.
That's something Jesse Reed was working on him with at the training camp up at Big Bear. Commit to the jab, drive it through the head of the opponent.
There's seldom you see these guys using a stiff left jab other than Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, Oscar commits to it.
Oscar's got the best stiff left jab in the business now.
Better than yours, George?
I believe so, because he can throw so many more.
Hard right hand across the top by Tapia. He's been remarkably effective in landing power punches, and he digs to the body one more time. Tapia taunting Romero for the benefit of the largely pro-Johnny Tapia crowd.
Step back, step back, stay. Step back to 6. Look.
It's very important for Tapia not to be moved backwards.
Right hand after the bell by Tapia. Warning number 1 from Mitch Halpern. Slightly better round for Romero in round number 4. Landed 8 of 21 power shots, trying to make his physical presence felt in the fight.
Jesse Reed, the trainer, tried to inspire Tapia by telling him the story of a very intense rivalry he was associated with, and 2 fighters had the same girlfriend. He said, and the fighter who was under control won the fight.
Who got the girl?
That was Bruce Curry against Monroe Brooks in Fort Worth many years ago. Harold Letterman, how'd you have it through the first 4?
Jim, let me tell you, I think Johnny Tapia is controlling this fight. I think he's winning on ring generalship. He's getting off first. Those moves to the side are killing Romero. He's digging that left hook to the body constantly. I think he's got Danny out of his rhythm. I think this is all Johnny Tapia. I think he's doing an absolutely great job and real good hand speed.
And as you spoke, Harold, Danny Romero trying to turn it around, twisted Tapia's head aside with a hard right hand shot, one of his most effective punches so far.
And I really think the opposite, because Tapia is doing a lot of playing around, dropping his hands, smiling. A fighter will do these things sometimes because something is wrong somewhere.
I scored the first round even in the other rounds for Tapia.
Tapia landing a counter right hand and a right hand up and under. Romero stepping in closer, making himself a little bit more available as a target, trying to land his own power shots, but giving Tapia the chance to counter. Right hand by Romero.
These are Romero's best moments the last 30 seconds.
You saw him bob up out of that crouch and land the right hand. Now Tapia goes backward to get away from another looping right. Tapia comes back to the body, lands low. Halpern didn't see it.
Romero corner told him not to sling that right hand over. Try to make it come straight down the middle there. Good right hand by Romero. And the good thing about Romero, once he lands that right hand, he steps completely over to the left hand of Tapia, so he's out of range for a counter right hand.
But those right hands have shaken lesser men than Johnny Tapia. Tapia is taking those punches well. Doesn't want to take too many of them, but he has taken them well.
Solid left uppercut inside by Johnny Tapia as he stepped back into the business. Romero stepping away from Tapia's right hand, but making himself available to Tapia's counter left to the body, and now Romero lands low, and Halpern does see that one, and Tapia goes back to the left hook to the body.
And for the first time this round, we've seen Tapia's back hit those ropes. First time.
Yep.
Back to the ropes, which is a good, interesting change.
Solid right hand by Romero, countering inside to punctuate his best round of the fight, round 5.
All right. Watch Romero with the right hand. Comes up out of the crouch after a Tapia flurry. And Romero went back to his corner with a little grin on his face as though he had discovered something. Let's see if he can perpetuate it in this round, whatever it is.
Slight swelling around the outside of the left eye of Danny Romero. That's the eye that was fractured in his fight with Willie Salazar. Let's see if it amounts to anything. You see Harold Letterman's scorecard through 6, with Tapia still in command, but Harold gave the 5th to Romero.
I have it 3-1-1 at this point.
Romero blocking those thrusts by Tapia.
Good counter right hand again by Romero.
He's found something with that counter right hand, George.
And it's going home every time.
But he had to step in closer to make it work. He finally did that in the 4th and 5th.
And he's found out, too, he doesn't have to have the power on it that he had in the first couple of rounds. Take the power off, you get the connection. Do it real quick.
A head movement and foot movement ballet there. The two fighters showing you their skills and command of the ring. Tapia going back to the left hook. Romero not giving him a chance to land as he holds his fire for the moment.
Romero went back to the jab to the body like his corner told him. This is the first jab to the body he tried. Now he's going to the body. Things change quickly when you start those combinations to the body. Romero is doing good now.
Right and left to the body by Romero in combination. Tapia trying to come back, hoping to reestablish his jab. Romero out jabbing him for the moment. Tapia going into a little bit of a trough of inactivity here, and Danny Romero getting a chance to command.
And with those younger, faster guys, you don't want to get behind and start trying to catch them with left jabs. And that's what Tapia's having to do now. Most of the time, you're going to miss.
So momentum seeming to shift subtly in the bout now. Early rounds appeared to belong to Tapia. Romero landing more and more power shots like that and gaining the favor of more and more of the crowd. Romero blocking those shots by Tapia. Johnny hadn't been able to do much here in round 6. Left hook upstairs.
Romero is trying his best to make Tapia get on those ropes, show some frustration. That's the way he doesn't want to be. Make him touch it. And he's hitting him with left hooks for the first time this round. Another left hook that backs him up.
And the Romero partisans in the crowd begin to scream and cheer, as did the Tapia crowd earlier.
And that's the mark of a good fighter. You have something in your bag that the guy hasn't seen all night. He hasn't seen that left hook by Romero.
Well, we saw Romero when he won the title, George, be able to change his strategy in mid-fight, which was amazing for a 20-year-old at that time. So he's got a lot of resources.
Boy, what upper hand, right uppercut by Romero.
That was a tremendous round for Danny Romero. In the corners between rounds, as you heard, at least 3 different voices in Johnny Tapia's corner. There is always only one voice when Danny Romero sits and listens. Romero more than doubled Tapia on power shots in the 6th, and he starts the 6th with a right hand.
Off the canvas. Come on, keep him up.
His glove hit the canvas, clowns. He could have ruled that a knockdown.
Believe me, in a way, it was a knockdown because that punch hurt Tapia. And he played around and touched his hand to the glove.
Harold, do you think that was a legal knockdown?
Jim, let me tell you something. He could have called it a knockdown. You were right. But it was obvious that Johnny Tapia was clowning. And Mitch Halpern, being the good referee he was, just warned him and said, quit fooling around. He didn't go down on the end of a punch. It's true that he touched it with the canvas, but...
That's good. A reasonable call by Halpern. And Danny Romero establishing power shots again in the first minute of round 7. So Tapia goes back to trying to counter.
Tapia was fighting a much better fight when he was counterpunching, not using too much of the ring. Now he's starting to use a lot of the ring, trying to be the aggressor, and he's being caught. As his corner told him, he's pot-shotting you.
As Romero lands more, Tapia throws less. That was the pattern in the last round. Now Tapia finally gets to Romero's body with the right hand and hopes that that can help him reestablish momentum. You heard Eddie Futch telling Tapia, go back to the jab, and then double hook.
And that stiff jab that he has is really effective.
Come back, Frank. You okay?
Headbutt.
Accidental headbutt.
Headbutt.
You all right? You guys all right? Let's go. Come on.
Well, you heard what Tapia said. You are right, Danny.
I think they're beginning to develop a greater respect for one another, that's for sure.
Well, there's no greater respect than two fighters who've been in giving their best shots at each other.
Crowd tries to lift Tapia.
Tapia's starting to reach with a lot of shots. And that's what you don't want to have as a guy who's been establishing himself as the power puncher in the fight. Don't start reaching. That left hook hurt.
Ebb and flow. Shifting tides of fortune in Las Vegas. Early part of the fight belonged to Tapia. Romero has established himself in the middle rounds. Johnny Tapia trying to come back against that now.
And Romero goes right back with that left jab in the middle of the stomach. That hurts when it happens to you in the 6th and 7th round of a boxing match. And he's able to come back up with a stiff jab because of that.
Romero out-throwing and out-landing Tapia during this portion of the fight. Johnny beginning to build momentum in the second half of this round as he tries to seize back the initiative that he had early. Hard right hand inside by Tapia. Tapia dropping his hands a little bit, and that's part of what's giving Romero his opportunities.
An accidental butt. All right. I get it. I'll get it. I just want to get the blood out of here. He's backing him up. He don't like it. Back him up and start digging the body and the head. And use double the jab, too. Use your jab. Hey, I saw a roll with the right hand. I tried to. Come on, keep doing it. When he throws that looping right hand, roll down, look where you are, and crack him.
Not hitting. Okay. In close, it's hitting. Okay. But from far, it's not. Okay? You got to throw those punches fast and don't let him get off, huh? Okay. But side to side, side to side. Okay. Constant pressure, but side to side.
There was early in the round when Tapia got cracked, started to clown, came close to costing himself a knockdown. From above.
Tapia turning to Halpern and saying, hey, we butted again to start the 8th round. 8th round out of a scheduled 12. Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 7?
Jim, 67, 66, 4 rounds to 3. Johnny Tapia. I think he's got that big early lead, and that's what's keeping him in the lead. But I'll tell you something, 5, 6, and 7, I gave to Danny Romero. He's starting to pick up the pace. Look at that. He gets off first constantly. He backs Tapia up, and he's taking Tapia out of his game. Shots like that will win this fight. Romero getting off first, turning it around.
I have it 3 rounds for Tapia, 2 Romero, 2 even.
The judges at ringside are from Kent, Washington, Las Vegas, and Providence, Rhode Island. Johnny Tapia goes back to digging to the body, particularly with the left hook. So effective for him early in the fight. Tapia reestablishing himself here in this 8th round.
Romero is feinting, coming in closer and closer with that right hand 1-2 combination. There it is again.
Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
So with counter right hands, Romero has cut down on the fusillade of Tapia left hooks.
You know something? And the closer he gets, the better he is. He's at the point where Tapia is worried about his right hand, Romero's right hand now.
He's cut the space between him and Tapia almost in half from where it was back in rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah, you get closer and you start doing a lot of things you've practiced in the gym.
Left hook lead by Tapia. Tapia not starting off with the jab perhaps as much as his corner would appreciate. Remember, Eddie Fletch, Jesse Reed, both classical training types. They like to see a guy work behind the jab.
Yep. The folks at home can count the times Tapia's body is starting to hit the ropes. And that does nothing but fire up Romero, because that's what he tried to do early in the fight. Corral him into the rope.
Good left hook to the body by Romero. Tapia comes inside, manages to land a left hook up top. Romero with a straight left hand as they back away from each other. Romero misses with the right. Tapia measuring and looking for a chance to go back to the left hook. These fighters are working. Tapia beginning to tire. Every time he shakes his arms like that, George, he's trying to relieve tension from his arms.
You know, because this Romero's giving a lot of feints. Feints give you more muscle tension than actually punches. Tighten up all night, you don't know what to do.
Hard right hand by Romero. Tapia landing to the body.
For all the build-up, the long wait, the passions involved, the rivalry, what we have here is a spirited, high-class boxing match.
It's going to come down to the 4 championship rounds, 9, 10, 11, and 12 upcoming.
Romero's corner gave him the go-ahead now to start putting together a lot of punches, which means he's going to have to step forward and not worry about the counter-punching. And it's effective.
Romero lands the left hook. Tapia gets a left hook into the body.
Good left hook by Romero.
Heads all right, come on, keep those heads up.
Tapia's corner asking him to jab, and still he doesn't reward them for that. Not jabbing nearly as much as he did in the first few rounds when he had the initiative in the fight.
No, that Romero never stops. He doesn't be still. Whenever he's still, Tapia makes him pay. So as long as he's moving around, he's in safe.
You got to start out tending to doubt a guy who's been trained his whole life by a police athletic league volunteer trainer. But Danny Romero has it all. Now here comes Tapia.
The one time that Danny Romero decided to stand still, he started to pay for it.
Tapia came alive and brought the crowd with him.
Good right hand by Tapia.
His best punch in several rounds.
No matter what he does, Romero is right back into his face, up and down.
Tremendous discipline shown here by Danny Romero. It didn't go well for him in the early rounds, but he stuck to the task and began to chip away and find his opportunities.
Good overhand right and counter right. Doesn't look like there's truly any bad blood with those guys.
Nope. It looks now as though they respect each other enormously and are fighting a tactical boxing match.
That's right. What Romero is starting to do now is making Tapia get his feet crossed together.
Johnny showed his sportsmanship there. Had a chance to load Romero over when Danny was in an awkward position, and he held his punches back because he knew it would be unfair. As we go to the closing rounds, Johnny Tapia has a vast edge in experience. He's been this deeply into a prize fight many more times in his career than has the younger Danny Romero. Albuquerque. And it's either man's fight, or at least you have to suspect that's the case, as they go to the championship rounds.
Now Tapia is able to use his footwork, moving out of the way, and establishing that stiff left jab again.
Harold, you've got it 87-84 for Johnny Tapia.
Jim, I thought he had 2 good rounds in 8-9. He boxed beautifully. Getting off first, he had Romero bleeding. He was landing, you know, the good solid punches, and he kept Romero off balance, and Romero's missing a lot. I thought Johnny Tapia surged into the lead in rounds 8 and 9.
I have Tapia ahead by a point.
I think it's either man's fight going down the stretch, George, don't you?
Yeah, Romero started to pull away, and then all of a sudden Tapia got a second win, and he started getting advice like, you're looking good. Play with him. This is what you want to tell a professional fighter. You want to give him too much advice. And once that corner started clicking like that, and you got a stiff jab, you can do anything you want.
Let go.
Fascinating in the unpredictable life of Johnny Tapia. 3 weeks ago, he fired Jesse Reed. Tonight, Reed is the primary voice in his corner. Straight right hand landed for Romero. Another headbutt.
In that corner.
Both fighters hurting from this butt, but no blood apparently.
That's accidental also, okay? No cuts, all right?
Accidental butt.
You okay?
No blood on Romero.
Let's go. Come on.
No blood visible on Tapia. Tapia stands up and backs away.
Okay, step back in the wrestler's hands, come on.
Remember, Tapia was told by his corner, they gave him the green light to play with him. So, and he's doing as much.
Great right hand by Tapia as Romero charges in. Tapia commanding the space in the ring and lands another right hand over the top. Romero chasing back without effect. Romero going back to the jab. Trying to regain his command over the space in the ring.
Now Romero is trying to reach with that overhand right. He's not thinking about where he's going. He's not watching, and he's just throwing it. Early on, he was calculating, and he had it all measured.
Romero just missed with the long right hand. Tapia showing you he's got his energy left. Both fighters tremendously conditioned with great stamina so far.
There you saw them, their heads collide. Tough hombres. Neither one came out with a cut.
The thing about those headbutts, they hurt a lot more than a punch. They sting and sting and sting. Ouch.
Huh? Okay. Throw him down the middle. You're starting to open up too much. Okay. Throw him down the middle, huh? It's straight right hand there, folks. Not around, huh? You got to throw straight right hands at him when he's stepping in. Okay. We're getting too close. You let him get too close with it.
Right hand and drill him with that uppercut on the right side.
Albuquerque, I'm your champion, Big Bear. Hi, love you.
Stay here. Deep breath. Johnny, have fun with him. Have fun with him, son. Have fun with him.
I've never heard a corner tell a fighter to have fun. Do you think he means to clown with him, George?
No, they're trying to tell him in his own words, relax. You're the man out there. We believe in you. So go out there and do what you do and have some fun with it. That's the best advice you can give an experienced fighter, especially when you haven't been in training camp a long time with him.
Especially a guy who genuinely loves to fight, as Johnny Tapia does.
You know what I find myself wondering, guys? All the people in Albuquerque have been building up to this for years, investing their emotions in these two men. And we have a fight that's a beautiful boxing match, but I wonder if it will really satisfy them if it doesn't come to a final final conclusion.
Well, it should, because it's been a marvelous demonstration of the trained skills of the two fighters.
I'm not sure that everybody interested in this fight understands trained skills.
This has been a dynamite fight.
It's been a terrific boxing match.
Oh, man.
Hard left hook to the body by Tapia. Crowd trying to lift their man. Danny Romero hanging in.
Oh, that was your left hook. Kind of under like with. When you start getting close and not having to throw with energy, you got things in hand.
Tapia clowning a little bit, giving the crowd something to have fun with too.
Not only that, you're fighting a young boy. You got to do a lot of things in there to make him think something.
Romero has a round and a half. He may need to do something dramatic to pull this fight out, which means at least a knockdown. And he doesn't look like he can get it.
Don't count out the possibility of a Romero knockout late. He has twice in his career knocked out opponents in the 12th round. You don't see it all that often.
Now Tapia is starting to get his shoulders into the fight. Where not only he's having to run away as beforehand, he's just turning his shoulder slightly. Once a fighter gets that kind of leverage and that kind of confidence, it's hard to get him with a good shot. Jersey Joe Wildcat.
Tapia leaving his hands down. Romero taking advantage to pop jabs into Tapia's face. Johnny clowning. Danny scoring.
Step back easy, easy, gentlemen, easy. Watch those hands. Come on.
Now Tapia lands a left hook and a straight right hand, and Romero comes back with a counter left.
Blood from Romero's nose.
And you heard Harold Letterman say that blood on Romero was one reason he gave round 9 to Tapia.
Let him up, let him up, let him up. Don't punch, don't punch, don't punch.
A lot of blood coming out of Romero's left nostril. Tapia trying to give Romero a hug as he went back to his corner at the end of round 11. Romero did his best to ignore him. Crowd loves it. In 3 minutes, a decision can determine a winner here. But neither man is a loser tonight. They gave the world of boxing something to wait for, and they made it worth waiting for. Harold Letterman, your score through 11.
Jim, 107, 102, 8 rounds to 3. Johnny Tapia. I think he's boxing beautifully. He's putting on a clinic side to side, keeping Romero off balance with that left jab. He looks terrific with that jab. I'm telling you, he's beating him.
I have Tapia ahead in a much closer fight.
Tapia's charisma, not an inconsiderable factor down the stretch. And we saw what happened to Pernell Whitaker here when he clowned in the last round against Oscar De La Hoya and got dissed by the judges. Of course, little did Pernell know that he had already lost the fight on the 3 judges' scorecards. Tapia clowning here. Let's see if it'll hurt him.
Clowning, you don't get points for clowning and putting on a show. They want to land, you need to land some punches. And if this fight is close at all, Romero has pulled it out in this round, if it has taken that.
More than half the round still to go. Romero looking to land that one clean shot that might put Tapia in trouble. Neither man has really been stunned in the fight. It has been, as Larry pointed out, a tactical boxing match all the way.
In one sense, Jim, both men have so much invested in this that they're almost afraid to lose. And that's why the fight has gone this way. Neither one wants to lose big. I don't know if they've let it all hang out the way Romero is right here through much of this fight.
But Romero has got a chance now. If he want to win this thing, he should, while the other guy's clowning, go after it.
But despite all the clowning here in the 12th round,
Let's go. You okay?
the whole course of the bout, I think you could make a strong argument that Johnny Tapia has fought the most disciplined, controlled, balletic 12 rounds of his career.
Well, you remember, Jim, before the fight, I said he is an underrated boxer. He has boxing skills. But he tends to lose it during fights, and here he's maintained his poise and his control.
30 seconds left in the Battle of Albuquerque. Mexico now rises to await the final decision.
Boy, I wouldn't want to be a judge of this fight.
Good round for Romero. Tapia's trademark backflip. Let's wait and see what the scorecard said. Danny Romero got in a hard shot in the closing seconds, which may have put the postscript on a victorious round 12 for him.
I have it a draw, but the 2 rounds I called even. If the judges gave it to either guy or either fellow got both rounds, that man will win, and that presumably would be Tapia.
People thought it would never go the full 12. But it did.
Johnny, let me get your gloves off.
Harold, your final scorecard.
Jim, let me tell you, I didn't think this was close at all. What an absolute beautiful performance by Johnny Tapia. He boxed, he moved, he doubled his shots, the hooks to the body. He kept Romero off balance. A big puncher like Romero, like George Foreman, like any big puncher, has to land a big punch. He didn't do it. It was all Tapia. Tapia deserves this fight. His crazy life came to a beautiful conclusion, and a nice job by referee Mitch Halpern.
Let's go to ring announcer Mark Barrow for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the decision of the judges at ringside. Judge Dr. Clark San Martino scores it 116-112. Judge Jerry Roth scores it 116-112. Judge Glenn Habata scores it 115-113 to the IBF and WBO Junior Bantamweight Champion of the World, Johnny Tapia.
Well, George Foreman, the spirituality of this moment can't escape a guy like you. Johnny Tapia has been all the way down, and now he's all the way up.
In the boxing world.
If he can accomplish in life what he's accomplished in boxing.
But let me tell you this, there was no true loser tonight.
Nope.
These guys both fought as winners. Each could have went home with that decision, and I would have been
It was
satisfied.
a brilliant display of boxing skills by both fighters. And let's go to Larry Merchant now for a word with Johnny Tapia. Larry.
Thank you very much, Jim. Congratulations, Johnny. Congratulations, Johnny. You seem overcome. What does this mean to you?
First of all, don't stop me. Jesus Christ, he gets his victory, but I've overcome everything, and I give all the thanks to the Lord Jesus Christ.
What won the fight for you?
Style, different movements. I have a good team on my side. I just listened to our game plan and I did it.
Have you ever fought such a disciplined fight from start to finish? And did you think you needed that to beat Romero?
I just did a lot of good things today. I had power, strength, and air, and I refused to go down. I refused to lose. And whatever he hit me with, it was not going to hurt me.
I noticed after the fight, while you were hugging your wife, Teresa, that you took a look over there to Danny Romero's corner. What were you thinking?
You know, everything's done and said, you know. Let bygones be bygones. Let me live my life. He lives his life. He's a good fighter. He's a great fighter, and he's still a champion in my heart because he held his title for a while.
Do you feel somehow purged of all of the hard feelings that had built up for so long?
We made it bigger than ever. And the best man won, and I kept it like that.
You said before the fight You said before the fight, Johnny, that you would be a free man after this fight. What did you mean by that?
I haven't been a free man since I've been 1 year old, man, and I've lost a lot of my life, and I struggle and fought to keep my dream alive. Me and my wife got a good game plan. I don't know what to say right now. I did what I had to do, and I did it successful.
Thank you very much for an outstanding fight, Johnny Tapia. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Larry and George. After everything that's happened in the sport recently, is this not a great night for boxing?
We in boxing, we needed this fight a lot more than Tapia and Romero did. We needed an excellent fight and an ending like this. Very happy for Tapia.
Yeah, the gentleman whom you saw hugging Johnny, incidentally, in the middle of the interview with Larry Merchant was his grandfather, who along with his grandmother raised him after the murder of his mother. He said years ago, if he ever won a world title like this, he'd dedicate it to his grandparents. And you saw the beauty of the love between those two.
Now, this guy has been through he's been through everything, and now he's come out a winner, and he needed that. A lot more, like I said earlier, boxing needed that fight.
And let's hope he truly, deeply feels the respect he expresses for another guy who won tonight with a great performance, Danny Romero. Not a winner in the ring, but a winner in life.
Let me tell you, he's topped in my list. I think there should be a rematch in 2 years.
Well, maybe there will be. Let's go up to Larry and find out.
All right, once again, thank you, Jim, and congratulations to you for an outstanding fight. Danny, was he better than you thought as a pure boxer? Did it make it too tough for you to land your big shots?
I thought I won. There was a few things maybe I could have done a little bit better, but hey, you know, I guess that's the way they want to happen, and you know, that's the way it goes. I just go on and do my own little thing, you know.
Obviously, you're very, very disappointed. What does this fight mean to you, finally getting it out of the way, something that had been built up for years in New Mexico?
Hey, you know, it didn't come out to like it should have, but hey, you know, like I said, more power to him. You know, he's the guy now, so you know, I'm going to go back and see what I'm going to do.
Was he able to absorb your punches better than you thought he could have?
No, I had a game plan going into the fight, and that was nothing about power punching. It was more of boxing, as you've seen. Maybe that's the way it happened. I mean, you know.
Were you surprised that he was able to be disciplined throughout the fight without getting emotional and getting into big exchanges with you?
I kept, I kept my cool. I stayed on my tunnel vision. I done what I had to do, and I thought that was good enough.
Do you think that this will finally cool all of the hot passions on either side?
I have no idea.
Do you want to fight him again?
You know, of course. Right now, I just want to go relax and sit down and enjoy the better things in life.
Thank you very much. You're one of the better things in life, Danny. Jim?
All righty. Well, the words of Danny Romero, obviously disappointed almost beyond verbal expression, and given all of the build-up and the circumstances we described before the fight, no more bitter pill to swallow than a defeat in a fight like this.
He doesn't believe he lost, and that's what you want a 23-year-old good fighter to believe. Hey, they took it from me. Next time he can do better.
Next time he'll have to begin imposing his will on Johnny earlier in the fight, because it would appear, and looking at the scorecards confirms it, he allowed Tapia to get out to a big lead and never really caught it.
Tapia's got a lot of experience, and he had two guys in his corner I didn't think would make a difference, but they did make a difference. They showed him what to do and when to do it, and they gave him the freedom to really operate.
That's right. An assist to Eddie Futch and Jesse Reed for showing you the class that they bring to training.
All right, Charlie, you saw that.
Thank you very much, George. Pleasure as always to be with you. Larry Merchant, we waited a long time, and we got something that I think could be put into the time capsule as an exhibition not of violent passion and fury, but of boxing skill.
And control aggression. The theater of the unexpected finally happened in a very positive way here tonight. Boxing isn't all about heavyweights. Teddy Brenner, the legendary matchmaker of Madison Square Garden, once said that there are two kinds of boxing. There's heavyweight boxing and there's real boxing. And the heavyweight boxing, there's so much money in it. We've seen a lot of queer and bizarre things in it. This was a boxing fan's boxing match. It was something that we're glad we could have shown you. A fight finally that we don't have to be ashamed of, even if some people in the game are shameless when they show you some fights. This is the way it's supposed to be.
Tonight, here at the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas, first, a stunning upset as baby Jake Matlala, reputedly the shortest fighter in the sport of boxing at 4 feet 10 inches tall, 35 years old, and in his 58th professional fight, suddenly became a title contender with an upset victory by TKO over Michael Carbajal. And then in the battle that everyone in Albuquerque who cares about boxing or who cares about Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero waited years for, Johnny Tapia pounded out a heartfelt, unanimous decision in a brilliant display of boxing skills against the equally excellent Danny Romero. Maybe we'll see them again sometime, and who would have thought that possible? And so now for Larry Merchant, George Foreman, Harold Letterman, and our interpreters, I'm Jim Lampley, saying so long from the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Celebrating 25 years as the network of champions. This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.